On Thursday, the 28th of June 2018, two-term Governor of Lagos State and the current Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, attained the age of 55. This he celebrated with an inaugural lecture that brought together stakeholders to discuss issues on how to get Nigerian youth involved in governance. The event, organized by a youth group, was held at the City Hall, Lagos. It was tagged, "The Youth in Nigeria, Mapping the Future." The birthday boy, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, was born on the 28th of June, 1963. He attended Birch Freeman High School and Igbobi College, Lagos. He studied law at the University of Benin, from where he graduated with an LLB honors degree in 1987. He was called to the Nigeria Bar as a solicitor and advocate of the Supreme Court of Nigeria in November 1988, after completing the professional training program at the Nigerian Law School between 1987 and 1988. Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, was elected as Lagos State Governor in 2007, and he served till 2015. Back then, as Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, placed strong emphasis on infrastructural development. He rehabilitated the state's public schools, reinvigorated the state's agricultural sector, introduced independent power plants, and energized an ailing health sector in Lagos State. Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola is the patron, Institute of Arbitrators. He is a member, Nigeria Bar Association NBA, member, International Bar Association IBA, Notary Public of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, just to mention a few. He is a recipient of several awards and certificates of merit. He is a legal practitioner, an administrator, management consultant, and a team player. Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, is married to Dame Emanuela Abimbola Fashola, and they're blessed with lovely children. Dignitaries who graced the event were wife of the celebrant, Mrs. Emanuela Abimbola Fashola, Africa's richest man, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, Chairman Fort Oil, Mr. Femi Otedola, Chairman First Bank, Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika, who was the keynote speaker, Mr. Segun Awolowo, Executive Director and CEO, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC, among many other important personalities. The event, which was moderated by multi-talented actress, MC and presenter Bisola Ayola, the chairman, First Bank Nigeria, Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika, while giving the keynote address, described Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, as a man of purpose and great determination. Speaking on the theme of the event, the youth in Nigeria, mapping the future, she said youth and women development as well as empowerment are important to put the economy on the path of rapid industrialization. She further urged Nigerians to map out the future of Nigeria and decide what they can do now that will be of benefit to the coming generation, saying that Nigeria is the largest nation in Africa and we cannot afford to fail.
Because when we're talking about the youth in Nigeria, mapping the future, it's about making all of us think about how we are going to map what our future would look like. And what our future would look like is about the things that we do now, about what each and every one of us do. We can look at the part of the government, we can look at the part of the federal, the state governments, every form of government, but there are parts that even we as individuals, as parents, as families, as communities, as constituencies that take charge of different parts of what becomes a nation. Because what is a nation? Nigeria itself is just a landmass. The land can never hurt or do anything to you. What makes the difference is the people that are constituted within it. And those people are formed as families and households.
Speaking on the impact of equipping the youth, Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika highlighted areas where the government should channel her focus on, which include creating infrastructure, revamping of the educational sector, and restructuring the environment to make it more profitable for all. She urged stakeholders to make good use of every opportunity they have to make positive impacts.
But I know that as a nation, if we understand that 42% or so of our people will be within the age under 35, between the ages of 14 to 35, then we understand that every adult in this room, your future is insecure if we do not sort out the future of the next generation. Because when you can no longer work, when you can no longer deliver value, the way countries work, at a certain age, you go into the productive sector. You create the value for the development of the country. You create the value for the country to continue to work.
The first panel session began as moderated by Markbe Ogun Yusuf, a news presenter and reporter with Channels Television. On the panel were Mr. Kayode Adigbola, CEO and founder, Legacy Service Officers, Ms. Aisha Osori, author and political commentator, Mr. Asukwo Ekpenyong, Commissioner for Finance, Cross River State, and Mr. Obiora Abiagomo from Anambra State. The panelists, who spoke on ways to get the youth involved in politics, highlighted and preferred solutions to the barriers that deter the young generation from going into politics in Nigeria. Ms. Aisha Osori, speaking on the effectiveness and ineffectiveness of the Not Too Young to Run bill, said, "The political system has been designed in such a way that prevents an average youth from going into politics." She urged the government to provide a flexible chain in politics, which will not be too scary for the average Nigerian youth. Mr. Kayode Adigbola, in his response to mentorship in politics, said, "The goal of mentorship in politics has not been well utilized by a lot of youth in Nigeria."
So usually they'll tell young people, go and start at the grassroots. Go and start in the local government, which is not bad advice. But how many local governments actually function? I did a random check today, this morning. At least 12 states out of 36 have caretaker committees, which means there's been no elections. So if you're not appointed by a governor, how are you competing for space there?
Mr. Asukwo Ekpenyong also urged youth in the country to be politically active rather than rant on social media, adding that social media activism must transform into the physical space to achieve results.
The matter is, it's mostly on social media. There's a lot of activism, but it's online. When you check the pages and the Twitter handles and the Facebook groups and the Instagram comments, what do you find? You find people criticizing the government or the principles, but you don't find people saying, "We're having this meeting. Let's all meet here, let's discuss, let's all come together." What you would want as a narrative on social media is people grouping together to discuss, meetings happening, rallies happening, protests, or what have you. But there needs to be that social media activism has to translate into the physical space, and that is where you will have to change.
In the same vein, Mr. Obiora Obiago admonished youth to get into the system and put in place the required change Nigeria needs to move forward.
So the advice is for youth to get involved in party politics, to be members of political parties. One thing that struck me during the Iceland-Nigeria match, a lot of narratives were that the goalkeeper is a dentist, the coach is. So it does not stop you. That you're a member of a political party does not mean you don't have a profession. Most of us that found ourselves in politics, just like His Excellency, these are professionals in various fields, practicing professionals. But the first thing is for you to get involved in party politics.
The event also featured a comic presentation by MC Tagware, who stunned the audience as he perfectly mimicked President Muhammadu Buhari. This was followed by the second panel discussion, which was moderated by TV personality Oreka Goddess. The panelists were Mr. Sheni Suleiman, Vice President Global Operations at Andela, Mr. Koye Showemimo, Head of Sports at the Temple Management Company, Jeff Omojuwa, and Nigerian comedian and actor Bright Okpocha, popularly known as Basket Mouth. Speaking on making an impact outside government, Bright Okpocha highlighted the advantages of the evolvement of the social media, adding that technology has increased the influence of youth in various areas and could be used to achieve growth in the agricultural sector as well as other sectors of the Nigerian economy.
Right now, the youth now, we are more or less like the engine room to do so much, be it politics. Like if you've noticed, the past election, previous president, the government then, they used the youth to run their campaign. So now people have now come to understand that the strength of the youth cannot be measurable, unlike before.
Mr. Sheni Suleiman, in his remarks, made reference to unseen determination among political officers. He added that the issue should not center on one being too young or too old, but the passion and selfless drive to serve one's country.
And so my feedback for government is always, the answers are there. There's nothing new under the sun. It has been invented somewhere else. And the young people in this country, I see them every single day. 500 of them. And I keep saying 500 because 4 years ago we were zero. I see 500 people that they wake up every day and you ask them what do you want to do with your life, and they can tell you 1 or 2 or 3 problems they want to solve in Nigeria using technology.
Mr. Koye Showemimo and Mr. Jeff Omojuwa also gave their opinions on how youth can get involved in the political system in Nigeria. They urged the government to create an enabling environment, starting with education and getting the right curriculum to get youth prepared for the task of nation building.
So something like that needs to be inbuilt here. Until we do that, we're going to continuously see our talents get to a level whereby they become substandard, unfortunately. We have a nation here of, what, 200 million plus people, and yet we're not world beaters in these sectors, which for me is quite sad. You look at the Commonwealth Games that recently happened. How many medals did we win? We had India ahead of us. You can't tell me that India has better athletes than us. No, what they've done is they've created a pathway, a structure, and funding has been critical and paramount to developing and training those athletes. So until we have that here, we're continuously going to go on a level playing field without excelling.
What will come on top of it that will bring everything together, in my opinion, is a vision. Really and truly, what's Nigeria's vision for education? What do we intend to do for what year do we intend to host the World Cup or win the World Cup, whether for football, whether for conventional FIFA football, or for rugby, or for whatever thing? How many jobs do we want to create by the year 2050? Every time I mention it, 200 million Nigerians, 180 million Nigerians, what jobs are those people going to be doing in the year 2050? We need to bring those. Without that vision, everything we'll be doing is just like, I'm winking at people, but I'm winking at them in the dark. Nothing is going to happen. Nobody's going to say anything because nobody knows. We're just playing this game. We don't know where the goalpost is. So at the end of the day, well, you don't even know what the victory is. What are we going to call victory in 5 years' time as Nigerians? In whatever sector. What are we going to call victory in 10 years' time as Nigerians? In whatever sector. We don't know.
The celebrant, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, in his remarks, called for value reorientation among youth to attract positive development to the nation. He added that young people fought for the nation's independence and unity and built some major infrastructure in the past. He stressed that the new generation of youth must be determined to drive the nation's development.
So our story as a nation is replete with what young men and women have done. It was young men and women who fought for our independence. It was young men and women who fought to keep Nigeria one. It was young men and women who built our first power plant, who built a coal bridge. Alhaji Femi Okunu was in his 30s. But as we have heard, we must prepare for the next generation to take over.
Later on, the celebrant was treated to a special birthday song by guests.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday
after which a special plaque was presented by individuals who have one way or the other benefited from the Babatunde Raji Fashola BRF scholarship scheme sponsored by Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola SAN, and that brought the event to an end. From BISCON Communications, we congratulate His Excellency Babatunde Raji Fashola SAN on his 55th birthday anniversary.